What is going on, everybody? This is season 4, episode 3 of Culture 316. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
And I'm your co-host, Mo. What is up, people?
Thank you so much for everyone who has continued to to tap in and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube or any other visual platform, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, any of those platforms, be sure to give us a 5 stars, share, like, and subscribe as well. We really, really appreciate the support that we get from you guys. Also, just a cute little reminder that we will be doing a space for Backlash May 6th. So be sure to tap in for that. It's going to be a phenomenal event. But we're going to hop right into the show because we have a lot of things to tackle. So, first thing is first, finally, WWE and Twitch have reached an agreement. This past week, it was announced that WWE superstars are no longer banned from streaming on Twitch. The two sides have agreed to reach an agreement that would allow a three-way revenue split between Twitch, WWE, and the wrestlers, with Twitch and the wrestlers taking the vast majority of the revenue share. How do you feel about this agreement, and what does this say about the culture in WWE as far as is it moving forward or is it regressing?
I would say it's moving forward. It makes me wonder, is it like an AEW effect or whatnot? Just because, we know like during the pandemic when like people were trying to find different means of income, people were getting slaughtered left and right or being threatened to lose their job if they, didn't run it through WWE and went through their machine before they made money. So I think that's like it's good for the wrestlers because a lot of the wrestlers do complain about their salary. They can't like get, they can't control how much they make. But I do think that it's unfair considering how much effort they put in that they can't control the rate that they get. And I feel like let them if they have the time to, and especially like the people who aren't scheduled on TV right now that maybe want to have something to play with. I feel like that's a great way to start to keep your wrestlers happy, because they let them do it in AEW. People have OnlyFans over there, have Twitch accounts, have all types of extra forms to make money. Meanwhile, they could also go to other promotions that Tony Khan approves. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like this should have been a thing, and it probably should have been cleared up a while ago. But hey, better now than ever. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I think that there are three things that are at play when we talk about this particular um, topic of WWE and Twitch kind of reaching an agreement so that wrestlers can use Twitch. Number one, I feel like this may be a response to AEW um, because I feel like WWE is in the business of wanting to retain valuable talent, right? And I feel like there were a lot of talents that WWE desired, and the deal breaker was that they couldn't use their Twitch account or that they would be banned from Twitch. So I feel like WWE made a decision that was just like, is banning Twitch worth losing the talent? And they said no. And I feel like now they've reached an agreement where the wrestlers and Twitch and WWE can benefit from it without WWE kind of looking greedy or looking too invasive. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's number one. Number two, this is very, very reminiscent of the WCW WWE Monday Night Wars. And what I mean by that is there was a point in time during the Monday Night Wars where part of an incentive for former WWE talents to go to WCW was guaranteed money. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, they jumped ship because of the guaranteed money. Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, they all jumped for the guaranteed money. And so part of the reason why a lot of wrestlers have guaranteed money nowadays is because WWE made a, kind of responded to what WCW was doing by guaranteeing money for talents. Same way that that's happening, that was happening then, this is happening now. It's just kind of a natural evolution as far as how business is done in the wrestling business in order to retain the most valuable talents. So I think there's that aspect as well. And I just also think that like it's it's just like a modern I feel like WWE has realized the potential in Twitch, right? Like I feel like it can be an extension of someone's character. It can build into somebody's storyline. It can be used as a means to keep talents that may not be as active happy so that they don't jump ship. You know what I mean? If for nothing else, they don't want to send someone to another company and make that company millions of dollars. So I think that they kind of did the safe move by unbanning this and reaching an agreement that would kind of be good for all parties. But that's just kind of how I feel about it. Yeah, I was gonna say, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or that's pretty much sums up everything?
Forgot my bad drinking water. No, I agree entirely with everything you just said. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Cool. So we want to know how y'all feel about WWE and Twitch reaching this agreement for the wrestlers, for the talent to finally be not banned from Twitch. But we're moving on because speaking of WWE, it looks as if the company is not slowing down from breaking records after its sale to Endeavor. It has been reported that SummerSlam has already sold 32,000 tickets, even though the event is 4 months away. According to the Sports Business Journal, this is the largest one-day sale for any stadium event outside of WrestleMania in company history. How do you feel about that metric, and how do you feel about the excitement surrounding WWE SummerSlam?
I'm a little bit surprised.
Mm.
It's in Detroit this year, correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Probably has to do with the location, because like, when's the last time they've been to Detroit? That's a pretty significant area to go to. A, B, WrestleMania was really polarizing, and I'm actually surprised because I would think that most people were like, not that it was a bad WrestleMania, it wasn't, but I would just think that some people might have like thought again about, do they want to go to a show to get pissed off or not? But it all depends on were you a Cody fan or a Roman fan that night, I guess.
Right.
I'm actually just surprised and taken back. Then again, their shows haven't been, from at least what I'm hearing, because I'm still boycotting for the month. They pissed me off that much. I had expected, that there wasn't going to be as many people, but due to what I'm hearing with the shows being better, maybe they're doing something right. Maybe something that I'm not seeing, but maybe this controversy is better because maybe people are seeing long term down the line that there's something more promising that they're going to do with WWE. I don't know, but what do you think contributed to these numbers? Because I don't have an answer for this.
So I think the first thing is definitely the location. We haven't seen a WWE of this. We haven't seen a WWE event of this magnitude since WrestleMania 23, which was in 2007, which is a little bit over 15 years ago. So I think that that's
2007, Jesus.
so I think that definitely has contributed to it. I know we're old, but
Yeah.
I think that's one reason. I feel like another big reason, and it's funny because I was, listening to Sir Wilkins, and he was saying something regarding the Cody and Roman thing. He said that Cody losing at Mania was probably the best thing that could have happened to that story because there's too much money in Cody being a face. And there's too much money in the long-term storytelling of Cody versus Roman. He said that if Cody would have won the belt at Mania, a month later, he would have been Cody from AEW. That was getting significantly booed. The fans would have turned on him because he would have been considered boring. And I was like, that makes sense. So I feel like it's a couple of factors. I think that people wanting to see Roman lose is one factor. I feel like wanting to see Cody have a redemption story is another thing. But I also feel like the other big factor are a couple other factors. Location, as I previously mentioned, this Trish Stratus Becky Lynch storyline, I think, is another factor. I think that Sammy and KO is another factor. And just the fact that it's a stadium show and it's the summertime. Like, this is SummerSlam, this is Detroit. Once again, an event of this magnitude hasn't happened. And to be completely honest, an event of this magnitude hasn't happened with such probably good weather, right? And while I'm on the topic of stadium shows, because they were talking, the internet, as ignorant as it is, tried to come at WWE for SummerSlam in Nashville, and they were like, "Well, they didn't even sell out. They didn't even sell out Nashville. It was only 40,000 people. Only 40,000 people. Last time I checked, 40,000 is more than 20,000, which is how many people you can fit in an arena. One, two, the optics of a stadium, even if it's only packed on one side, it's a much better visual than a packed arena on two sides. It's a bigger venue in scope. You can do more. And three, like you're bringing in more people. If you brought in 30,000 people as opposed to 20,000 people, you now have a bigger event in a stadium than you would have in an arena because of how many people turned out. So I just had to clear that up because people really be out here talking about oh, well, was SummerSlam a success? They only put 40,000 people. That's about 39,999 more people than you've ever put in any building. So, yeah, I would say it's successful. So, but that's all that I had to really say about SummerSlam. You had anything to add?
No, that's actually a good way to look at it. All right, you actually sold me on it. I might actually start watching again, guys.
I've converted the God of Revenge to rewatch. Uh, I've converted the God of Revenge to rewatch WWE. But we want to know how you guys feel about SummerSlam. 32,000 tickets in a day. That's crazy. We want to know how you feel about it. What contributed to this happening? But we're moving on. So, speaking of the Endeavor acquisition, it seems as if aggressive releases are on the way. The Endeavor COO, Mark Shapiro, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, has indicated that there will be a set of releases in WWE, considering that there are already people to handle certain responsibilities that have been working with Endeavor prior to the acquisition of World Wrestling Entertainment. So, do you believe that this will have a significant impact on the company?
Ooh, why were you releasing more people?
Mm.
For what? I mean, I don't. To me, I don't think they have a bloated roster. If anything, I feel like there needs to be more people on the roster. Almost like who else would come in?
Mm.
I'm confused. For what reason now would you want releases? I understand like maybe a couple of years ago it was a little needed just because there was so much talent, but not that many people being utilized. But I feel like the roster is being like there's less people. Like if anything, you guys need to bring in more heads. That's actually kind of like surprising to me that they would consider that. Um, yeah, I don't know. Do you have an idea?
Based on what is being inferred, it doesn't sound like wrestlers are being released. It sounds like there were current executive positions that were held at WWE that probably don't need to be held, considering that there's somebody at Endeavor to handle it. I don't think that this is going to affect the roster that much per se, because I think that they want to keep everything as is, because everything as is has allowed WWE to be profitable for a couple of years straight. So I think that it's not going to be a matter of releasing wrestlers, but rather people that are in the suits, in the headquarters.
I don't think nothing's going to change then.
Yeah, I don't think that it's gonna. But I do. Some people that may not necessarily be on television or backstage can make or break culture. Like that's once again, like we were talking about it last week, as far as
You
work
believe in
culture,
that with
work
this
environment.
company? Maybe in another one, but this company, I don't feel that way. I feel like they honestly just be hiring people just for like their payroll. I don't know, but like I don't think that like anything ever changes. I feel like it always goes through like one major person. Like everyone could say you should try X, Y, and Z, but it similar to when like Vince McMahon was there and like they had writers, for example, and they
Right.
would sit there writing right before Raw started. It would go through Vince. He would just tear it up and just like choose on the fly while the show was going. I feel like that's just how it operates in WWE. Like it's just like it is or it isn't. So I personally don't think this has any effect, at least from my understanding. Do you happen to have any more information on any of the people back there in suits and ties?
So I don't. They haven't really provided any additional information. They just said that there may be some releases, and that could mean anything. But I just have a feeling that it has nothing to do with the talent. But I can be wrong. But you know,
I'm saying.
it's something that. But we want to know how y'all feel about these releases. Do you think it's going to affect WWE or the product that we see on screen or not? But we're moving on. So, on the contrary to all these successes that WWE has been experiencing, it looks like there is trouble in paradise between WWE and one of its top women's superstars. Becky Lynch took to Twitter this past week to report that she would not be on Monday Night Raw, even though she is actively engaged in a feud with WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus. So, do you believe that this is a work, or do you believe that this is a part of a bigger storyline?
Definitely a work. What
Mm,
this Becky has always, well, not always, but for the remainder of her career, she's been treated so well, like so well. I mean, she really went away for quite some time to go be a mom and stuff like that, and this company
mm-hmm,
handled her with gloves and. Like she came back immediately and took a belt. I cannot see her genuinely having beef with this company. I think that all that happened was that she just changed her name. She probably wanted to go by her actual name because she does a few projects outside of um, WWE. She's not just Becky Lynch. She had smaller roles and other things.
mm-hmm.
I don't see the issue with her going by a regular name. I'm not sure if she got her verified check back, but I know that they take it off on Twitter if whatchamacallit, you guys sacrifice your verified check if you want to change your name. But to
Yeah.
me, I think it makes more sense that it's a work because again, I wasn't watching WWE, but I did see a few little clips from like the Trish promo, and she's talking about how she's like the greatest of all time and da 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 da. I could see this all working out in some type of role where you're just seeing a more softer, more vulnerable side of Becky Lynch because you're saying it's Becky versus Trish, correct? I just want to make sure I'm correct before I
Yeah.
just like
Yeah. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right. If she's playing a heel role, then we got to feel bad for Becky. And it's been a while since we actually felt bad for Becky
Very true.
at all. Because we felt bad for her during the whole Charlotte and her feud because that was like pretty raw and genuine to her build to being the man. And she was like the anti hero. Um, but then she came back and she was like full of herself and she did what she did with Bianca. And then afterwards, she kind of, I don't want to say she fell flat, but like you didn't really have like a feel towards her. It's just like, okay, that's Becky Lynch. We like Becky Lynch. Cool. I feel like you want to build a more compelling storyline and you got to do something that's going to make you feel bad for Becky Lynch. So I think she's
Mm,
just playing like a vulnerable role
mm.
to make the fans question and feel bad and wonder where she's going. She's being treated right because you have a legend coming out of nowhere feuding with her. You know what I mean? Kind of like not calling her Goldberg because she's definitely not a Goldberg, but maybe they're playing off that angle of like a legend being thrown into getting whatever they want or some title picture or some feud. And I feel like it's good shit. It's interesting. It's new. It's different. WWE
Yeah.
barely does anything new, so I'm with it. I think that is interesting, and I love it when they use social media and they tie it into wrestling. Me personally, I like that. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. How about you?
I agree. First of all, I love it when they use social media to kind of complement an on-screen feud. So that's one. Two,
Mm-hmm.
we have to give kudos to Trish Stratus because she turned on a switch. And that promo that she said last week, I'm not your childhood fantasy. I am not a nostalgia act. And notice the gear. She broke out the cowboy hat, the long trench coat. This is 03, 04 heel Trish when she was holding that women's championship. And it's just like to be able to make that callback, even the entrance where she was lit from the back with like the silhouette. Um, so to be able to make that callback, to turn on that switch, to turn into a heel, to make such a compelling promo that can build this feud, I think is phenomenal. And we got to give credit to where credit is due as far as Trish's ability to not want to conform or not want to ride the nostalgia wave. This is a woman who came back into WWE and she was in incredible in-ring shape. You know what I mean? Someone who looks fantastic. She could have easily, once again, rode the nostalgia wave and, just kind of like do whatever she wanted to do, but she didn't do that. Now, as it pertains to Becky, I think that she wants to, treat this feud with gloves. I think she wants to approach it with care. And I think that this is, like you said, a work. Um, I've noticed that whenever Trish was involved in the feud, it didn't, at least when she came back from time to time, it didn't necessarily feel major or important. For example, when she
Trish?
had her feud with Charlotte, right? Like
Oh,
it was a
yeah,
big,
they harped on the minivan. The whole feud was based off of a minivan. That's why I
right.
got out of that.
It
Go
was just like
ahead.
it didn't feel as major as it could have been, even though it was, Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus,
Because that's
arguably.
Charlotte's fault. She has no character. Like Trish is full of it, but Trish is more. She's better when she's a heel. Like
Right.
she's lovable as a
Absolutely.
baby face, but she is that girl. Like she is the blueprint for how most females should act in a heel fashion. That's why Alexa Bliss snap for a lot of people because she adopted the whole Trish persona to a T. Like, she's different. Heel Trish is different.
But
go on.
She is, and I think that's the reason why, like you said, Becky is just kind of building her case of being kind of this lovable, admirable babyface, and I think that starts with social media. And so I agree with you. I think this is a work. But in addition to that, I'm just also very, very excited to see what Trish and Becky do moving forward. It's really exciting, considering that we have SummerSlam coming up and Backlash coming up. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and that's, once again, how wrestling should feel. But we want to know how y'all feel. Is Becky Lynch blacking out on Twitter a work, or is it real? But anywho, we're going to move on. So it looks like Becky Lynch is not the only UK-based performer who has been seen blacking out their social media. It appears that Drew McIntyre has blacked out his social media, has taken WWE references out of his Twitter, and he has also been absent from WWE since WrestleMania 39. Now, there have been reports circulating regarding his contract expiring soon, and apparently there have been no talks of renewing this contract. Do you believe that Drew will stay in WWE, or do you believe that he's going to go elsewhere?
I would hate if he went somewhere else. Just because, like, there's some people who just scream E to me, and he just screams E to me. Like, he just has this godlike look. It's the entrance. It's the way he wrestles. He does not do any, I was going to say aerobics. He doesn't do all these aerial type of movements when he wrestles. Is not super fast paced. It's very grown man like wrestling style. So I just feel like he works well where he's at, and he's not a guy, in my personal opinion, that needs to be in a top feud. Like, where he was at when I was watching him on WrestleMania, like, out of like the top five matches, he was definitely on my list. Like, that triple threat was definitely on my list. Like, some people, like, from our conversation last week, don't need to like be in like a title picture or the top feud to be relevant. Like, Drew, in my personal opinion, fits where he's at, and he stands out every time, win or lose, in my personal opinion. So I would think that he's going to stay, because realistically, where else would he go that he realistically fits? I don't think they're going to use him properly if he goes to AEW. I just feel like he's going to be stuck fighting for like a TNT championship or some shit like that. I'm just saying, I feel like they're going to treat him like Miro if he goes there.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, again, like, certain people, when you just look at them, like, they're just built for the E. Like, they just really are. Like, and I like Miro too. I kind of wish he still came back to WWE. He was just treated properly, especially since, you know, who's not really, he's there, but he's not there apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's staying. But what do you think?
Personally, I think Drew is staying as well. I think that this was kind of in alignment with a conversation that we had many pods ago, which is that there are certain people that have so much of a WWE polish to them once they kind of get integrated into the system that it's hard to see them anywhere else. Drew was somebody that was on the indies. He obviously has the skill, the size, and the athleticism to be a star in any company. But I feel like the moment that he got involved into the WWE system, he had a polish to him. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but the polish to him kind of made him so big as far as a superstar that it feels like if he were to go anywhere else, it would look like a mismatch. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
It wouldn't look right. It wouldn't feel right. Another act that had a very, very similar case was the Iconics. I remember when, you know, they were WWE homegrown talents.
I hated their entrance. I still do.
You're good. When they went to Impact, it didn't feel right because it felt like they were too polished to be.
And that song did not go with them.
So, wait, you said what?
They had a song, like, it was just extra. Like, it was so over the top for even them. What they called themselves, the Inspirations.
Yeah, when they got to Impact, yeah. That
name was dragged, and the song was so dragged because it's not even a good entrance song. It's not a bad song. It's just not a good entrance song for anyone, or fit their characters. It was just over the top, and Impact is so low down and dingy to me. It's just like, I don't know. Every time I watch, what?
Don't sleep on Impact. I like Impact, but keep going.
I just feel like every time I watch Impact, I feel like I'm watching a wrestling promotion out of a garage. Like, it's so... And the
Not a
production
garage.
just garage. It just looks so low down and ghetto to me that I can't take nothing serious, and it pulls me out of it. So when they came in with this overproduced song and like the outfits and stuff like that, I was just like, this is too much money for them. They put money into this. Impact did not pay for this. Like
Now, that was their own investment.
that was some of their WWE money, because it's mismatched, and it doesn't. It ends up making you not look good because
Right.
it looks like you're too good for to be here. Kind of like how some people say Sasha looks too good to be in New Japan, even though I don't agree with that. But some people think that she looks too good, like it's a mismatch, because just like she comes
It's a
off like she's
polish.
larger than life.
It's a polish. It's the polish. Really, it's the WWE polish that's on them.
But it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean
It's
that
not.
like he's. It's actually a good thing. It's a compliment, if you will, just because like I'm not trying to say like, oh, if you give off an indie look, that's also a bad thing. Like two things could exist and be good in their own way. It's just
Right.
that like some people like Drew, to me, with how he's been presented, how he's in commercials and stuff like that, and he just fits so well. I just feel like anywhere else is going to feel like a downgrade for his magnitude. Not to
And
say.
my bad. Keep
Go
going.
ahead.
My God. Keep going. Go.
No. You go right ahead, because you
I
look
was
like you're
gonna.
about to pop off.
I was gonna say, and his WrestleMania match, like you were talking about, it felt like a world title match.
Yes, and it wasn't.
It felt like a world title match, and it wasn't. But it was just like, once again, he's so much of a star. I feel like in WWE that I feel like he's not gonna go anywhere else because it's just not gonna be it for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I forgot what tangent I was going off on, but yeah, no, I was just making the comparison that really like he should just stay here and like just deal with it, because like it's not like he's being put in a bad position. Like I could understand if some people were mad like how he was treated back during Clash of the Castle. Maybe you can make that argument then that yeah, maybe he might be ready to pack it up, but he while he's losing, he's still not like placed in a position where any fan thinks less of Drew McIntyre. Like
Right.
he's viewed very highly amongst everyone. I don't know
Right.
how he feels personally, but hey, man, I hope you stay.
Yeah, I concur with that. But we want to know how y'all feel about this. Is Drew staying? Is Drew going? What's going on with Drew? Let us know in the comments. But we're moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of massive changes, it looks like Raw may be becoming a little bit more adult friendly. In a recent interview with Light Shed Live, WWE executive Nick Khan said that the company is considering loosening strict anti-blood policies that would occur during the third hour of Monday Night Raw. Now, we saw a little bit of unintentional blood between Edge and Finn Balor at WrestleMania. But do you believe that a little bit of blood can help the product in WWE?
If used properly, not as recklessly as this dumbass. I'm sorry, I'm cursing again, but like just chucking the ladder at somebody's face. You know what I mean? Like you gotta. I don't mind blood. I just don't like the overuse of blood. Because I'm not a child anymore. Like maybe when I was a kid watching wrestling, I was like, "Cool, there's so much blood." But like no, like now I feel the pain through the screen as I am a grown, educated adult. So I like it when it's used properly and it's used for like big moments, and you're not just bleeding just to bleeding. You're gonna just get right back up. Like it needs to make a statement, as I believe all big spots should be. You know what I mean? Whether it's being used in a segment and then someone's out and injured afterward. You know what I mean? Is it's used to close off a match, but I just don't like blood being overused, and I just don't like it just when it's putting the wrestler in a case where they're going to, like they're going to be at harm's way, because seeing Finn Balor literally like lay down and be like stitched up and then being forced to finish the show, that's just like sickening. Like shout out to him for doing that, because I'm like, no bitch, honestly, like take my ass home. Like I'm a bitch about it. I'm like, take me home. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play anymore. You know what I mean?
I don't want to play anymore. I'm with it.
Yeah, but I didn't think even that match, like, he needed to bleed. Edge needed to bleed because he's a human. I don't think a demon, in my personal opinion, should have to bleed. So just use blood wisely is how I feel about it.
I agree. I think that anything taken to the extreme becomes error. And I feel like I am not necessarily a fan or not a fan of blood, but it's just like I feel like blood needs to be like realistically incorporated. Like,
Not too realistic, not like Finn realistic.
right, not like Finn really. Like, you throw somebody up against the cage, bro, you're gonna bleed.
Hmm.
Like, that's acceptable. But like,
Yeah.
I'm not for the overuse of blood. I'm not for the underuse of blood. But I just feel like it should be properly utilized. I feel like this idea would have been a lot more exciting prior to AEW because God knows I've seen Jon Moxley bleed so many times that I'm just like, okay, I don't need any more blood. But
Oh no, I'm still cringing off of like the scratching or some shit, like
yeah,
someone's
yeah,
back
that.
got clawed. That still plays in my head once a week, and I'm not saying that should stay on the podcast. It comes in the back of my mind randomly, and I start cringing off.
I can't do it. It's just too much sometimes. But I feel like it could be effective if properly used. So I don't think that they need to necessarily like loosen the policies per se, because the moment that you loosen the policies, you're probably going to see it everywhere in the product.
Yeah,
But just be
yeah.
like, hey, let's get some blood over here. Let's get some blood over here. Once in a while, let's make it effective, make it useful, make it make sense. And I think we can go from there. But that's all I really have to say about the whole blood thing. But we want to know what you guys feel. Should WWE loosen its anti-blood policies so that we can incorporate a little bit of crimson masking into the Monday Night Raw product? But we're gonna move on from here to our last topic of the show. So, moving from WWE to AEW, it seems like there has been a lot of tension building the return of CM Punk. It was previously reported that by multiple outlets that CM Punk and All Elite Wrestling were working towards a return. But ever since the report started to circulate, multiple talents have come out and expressed their displeasure for the potential return of the former World Heavyweight Champion. Superstars like Brandon Cutler and Ty Mello have come out and said that the talent is being gaslit into believing that CM Punk is looking out for the betterment of the company. Other reports have begun to circulate that AEW is prepared to do a hard brand split where CM Punk will be regularly featured during a Saturday programming accompanied by a roster of talents that, have no problem with CM Punk. But there's obviously been a lot of tension, a lot of discussion surrounding this point. So at this point, do you believe that the return of CM Punk would do more bad than good?
Excuse me. So wait, you mean to tell me that she done ruined the good name of a company and destroyed a whole show because of your selfish reasons, and they're gonna bring you back and accommodate you and build the whole roster and the show based off you? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what that text that batch of information I just read off said?
Yeah.
I'm rewarding you for embarrassing our company? CM Punk is valuable, but he's not that valuable. I would feel insulted if I was on the roster and someone could screw up that badly and get rewarded to where it's like thrown into my face that yes, he's here and I'm down here because he could screw up and you guys are going to just maneuver the whole like structure of the company around this motherfucker. Excuse me? I can see why I'd be more mad. I would want to quit. Because that just means that validates what he did. That confirms that Tony Khan is still spineless and he didn't learn nothing from this. If that is true, he's still spineless. That's a very spineless thing to do. No, you need to make him work with them. If he gets his ass beat again, he gets his ass beat again. That's on him. He screwed up. He still need to pay his dues.
All right.
That's some bull. That is some bull. If that is true, then I believe that not everyone's happy. And I still think that CM Punk is in it for his own and he has some bills to pay. That is just... Tony Khan needs to do better. He needs a cabinet. He needs people to start making decisions for him because he does not know how to business. He does not know how to business at all. Like he's good at dropping the bag, but he's not good at leadership at all. If that's true, that shows. Because that is not how you run an entire wrestling promotion and keep your wrestlers happy. Like, yes, there's always going to be a hierarchy there, but you still don't reward people who are up here that screw up. Everyone should be held to the same level of accountability. That's just how I feel about it. Your take?
So I don't think that there needs to be a brand split. Um, I don't think that that's necessarily wise. Just from a practical, logistical standpoint, um, if your cash cow is Dynamite, you're gonna want to assign as much value to Dynamite as you possibly can. And a program on Wednesday is probably going to do better than a program on Saturday, regardless of who you put on Saturday. Um, so I think that that's number one. Number two, I don't think that a brand split is worth it, and I think that it would contradict what the company of AEW was built on. That's something that they said that they didn't want to do, that they said that they did, and I feel like if that's something that you don't want to do, then don't do it, and also don't try to budge just for the sake of one talent. I think that
Yeah.
this whole thing is very, very interesting because when we talk about um, talents kind of expressing their displeasure for Punk coming back, that's all well and good. But if I'm Tony Khan, I'm looking at Brandon Cutler and I'm like, listen, dog, I love you. I know that you're friends of the elite, but you ain't selling out Wembley, bro.
Nope.
You're not selling out Wembley. Let's keep it a stack. Like, Brandon Cutler is not selling out Wembley. Ty Mello is not selling out Wembley. And I believe that these are valuable talents, but I feel like there needs to be some type of resolution between both parties where, Punk comes back and, whatever he did, he admits and he tries to do better. And the talent is just going to be like, listen, as a business and as a company, we're just going to have to eat this and we have to do what's best for the company. Because ultimately, Punk returning and an appearance at All In would be what's best for AEW from a business perspective. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, he wants to come back. That's fine. I just don't agree with the idea of like
Of a brand
accommodating
split.
him.
Yeah.
But brand split and accommodating him, both of that just sounds really just unnecessary. Like, keep it as it is. Just work on your structure inside and let him deal with that on his own. Like, two things could go on at once, but that should not be rewarded.
I agree fully with that. And yeah, I don't think that they should accommodate. I think that it should be, like you said, the other way around. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. But we want to know how you guys feel about the return of CM Punk and the drama and the chaos that it is ensuing. Is it worth it? Is it worth it in the end? If so, let us know. If not, let us know. And that concludes our show for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning and tapping in. And we'll see you guys next week.